Local officials are overseeing the FLDS members removing their property from the YFC ranch. While officials are not speaking on camera, they did confirm they are overseeing the process. Current Dorado residents are glad this chapter of their life may soon be over.
The 12 ladies gathered in my office that pray nightly at 9. Hello, ladies. I trust you're all being Zion increasingly. Are there 12 of you gathered?
Yes.
Okay. The Lord showed me He's very pleased with this group of 12 ladies, willing to do whatever you're called on to do.
Well, Warren Jeffs, from what I'm aware of and learned, that he was the prophet. He followed his father, who was the prophet before him. And when his father died, it's my understanding that he basically told the church that his father favored him as being the next prophet. And he was, I guess, instructed by God that he was to be the prophet.
We are continuing our Texas Ranger history series that we're doing for the foundation. What we wanted to come and talk to you about today is the whole situation involving the FLDS, the investigation, where it led to, your involvement, essentially what other jurisdictions may have been involved in this, and kind of the end result of this entire investigation.
FLDS stands for the Fundamentalist Group of Latter-day Saints, FLDS. They are a spin-off from the mainstream Mormon Church, and I believe in 1954, some of the FLDS, the LDS culture decided that they would ban polygamy and ordered that they would be recognized as a state by the Union. And so they did that, and some of the members of the LDS Church disagreed with it. They felt that polygamy was a tenet in God's provision for their religion, and they were not going to go against that. And so that was the fault line among the LDS community there, where some of them went and formed their own branch of the religion, and so they called it the FLDS, the fundamentalists, because they say they believed in the fundamental principles of polygamy in regards to their religion.
2003, there was property that's located east of El Dorado, approximately 5 miles east of El Dorado on County Road 300. And this property was purchased by an individual who claimed that it was going to be used as a hunting retreat. It was later determined that it wasn't going to be a hunting retreat, but that the FLDS Church from Utah had purchased the property, and they were building homes and a temple and various buildings out there. So it was evident pretty quickly that it wasn't a hunting retreat, but that the FLDS Church had relocated to Schleicher County.
Law enforcement kind of received information about what was going on out there, and we kind of left them to their own devices with kind of an eye on what was going out there, always kind of hoping that nothing bad went, because, you know, obviously we're Ruby Ridge and Waco and those kind of things are still pretty prevalent on law enforcement's mind. But we didn't see them as a violent sect, and they seemed friendly enough if you'd have any interaction with them. So we weren't completely strangers to them, but we didn't have a high comfort level either.
The search warrant came about, one of our deputies actually received a phone call one afternoon. A female, she was claiming to be underage. I believe she said her name was Sarah, and she was saying that she was being held against her will at the YFC property here in Schleicher County. But she had also called a a help center or a crisis center, and the crisis center got her in contact with us, and that's kind of where all this happened. Obviously, it was later determined that it was a hoax phone call after the fact, but that instigated a search warrant to go onto the property and locate the girl.
I'm a Christian. That's what I stand for. That's what I represent. So I do not agree with what goes on out at the compound.
The 51st Judicial Court directed the state to take the property January 6th. This is the next stage in the process.
I hope it's almost over. So yes, I would be very happy if it was almost over.
Pearl Vinlove has lived in El Dorado for almost 2 decades. She says she remembers when ranch residents first moved to El Dorado.
Well, personally, I'm glad they failed. I cannot sympathize with their beliefs or their family practices at all.
She says she hopes soon this will all be behind residents. For Concho Valley Homepage News Connection, I'm Stephanie Garland.
So, what was it that was going on out there that was brought to law enforcement's attention?
Well, the underage marriages of young girls into polygamous relationships, specifically with Warren Jeffs and other members of that community out there. We received a call in late March of 2008, and Captain Barry Caver called me and he said, hey, we have a call from this FLDS, from the YFC ranch in El Dorado, and it articulates some serious concerns. We may have to go into that ranch. You know, we expected to find maybe a total of 600 to 800 people, max. We thought maybe as low as 400. Well, we found probably 400 children alone. And adults and all, it was well over 1,000 people. When we were investigating down here, we needed to establish dates of birth for some of our victims, and we found that they were born in Canada. And so I reached out to the RCMP, sent letters up there, or I can't remember, and got to speaking with a couple of their investigators. And they actually had a file, a living file on the FLDS that they were kind of working the perimeters on. It's a closed society. It's virtually impossible to work. And so they were naturally interested, and they were able to help me obtain these birth certificates for these young girls so we could determine if we were going to file sexual assault or whatever related case. We knew that after our cases kind of came to fruition in Texas, that Canada was waiting in the wings for our evidence and for us to go up there and work some of their cases.
When the children were removed from the property, people not knowing the actually why, there was a lot of backlash over that. People, all they were putting it out that these children were being ripped away from their parents, and a lot of unpopular publicity, because of that. And I think it's mostly because people weren't truly educated on what was going on. They were just reading something and forming their own opinion as far as what had happened.
Your willingness to respond includes a willingness to reach for the heavenly gift in administering to one another and to me. I need to know the heavenly fire is being reached for and increasing within you.
You realize how important your family support is in doing these kind of investigations, because it is very demanding, and ranger work is demanding on its own. You get home and you're having dinner with the family and the phone rings. And I was talking to Joe Calloway today, and he's been off training and doing riots, and he gets home yesterday and he has an officer-involved shooting, and then they're going to ship him off next week to somewhere else. It's just a tremendous sacrifice. It's almost a meat grinder.
It just never stops.
Right. If you're really committed to it, there is a price to pay for being a ranger. And I always said
most people just see the white hats and the boots and the Cinco Peso badge, and they're not aware about of what it takes to earn to get there, and then what it takes, the sacrifices to keep that.
I remember when I hired on, Tracy Murphy told me, he said, whatever you do in the Rangers, you've got to understand it's been done before. Don't screw it up. And you know, I've always remembered those words as we always take these little nuggets. And it's fun to be on the other side of it, looking back, and you look at the guys now and you say, look guys, not just because of me, because the other Rangers that came before you, I want you to appreciate it and I want you to earn it. And like I told Randy Prince one time, you know, I want you to carry the badge. I don't want the badge to carry you.
So, how has this investigation changed you in your life? How has it changed your views?
Well, that's a good question. I think for me, it's obviously my career case, and we had some really good ones in the Rangers that I really enjoyed, but this was without a doubt. It makes you realize that you never know when an opportunity is going to present itself, because if you think about what the Rangers did, and it wasn't Nick Hanna, it was a group effort, but we interrupted a culture of sexual abuse among a religious community that was not based in our state for more than a few years, that had survived for decades in other states. We're not throwing rocks at anybody else, but we've got to be proud that we interrupted that cycle, that even today, young girls are not being victimized that without a doubt, would have been victimized and would continue to be victimized. And so that's, you know, a great feeling of accomplishment for us as Rangers.
He was found guilty, and I believe 99 years, no parole.
And make sure you're not tending your own opinion. Make sure you're not holding on to the little particles of selfish emotion. Make sure you have a living relationship with your Heavenly Father in oneness with the priesthood over you. I love you more than you know, and I'm so grateful for all of you. The Lord has put this first quorum of 12 together. Beware of pride, or you won't be used. Pray for me and you'll be ready for me.